Lisa Viscidi is a specialist in Latin American energy issues. She says while electrical blackouts are common in the region, one this large is rare.
Well, I mean, it's a huge blackout. It infected all of Argentina, all of Uruguay, 48 million people. Everything was out except for, places like hospitals that have generators, but, traffic lights were out. Public transportation, some of the water pumps, they were telling people to conserve water. All the businesses had to close down because there was no lights. It was really on a huge scale. It was very unprecedented.
Mauricio Macri came to power in 2015. I'm just reading this, promising to reinvest in the grid and end what he called the failed energy policy of his predecessor. So this must be somewhat embarrassing for him. And I imagine people are going to pounce on this. Give me your sense of what the reaction would be of citizens there, because Argentina's been going through some issues of late.
Right. I mean, I think that, this was one particular outage. They're still looking into exactly what caused it, but, some sort of technical failure near the hydroelectric dams. But I do think it reflects a broader problem of not investing enough in the transmission and distribution system. Macri had said, we have to get rid of these subsidies. Electricity is incredibly cheap for people in Argentina, but that means that you don't have enough money to invest in the grid. So I think this is part of things that he promised to turn around and that I think he intends to turn around, but didn't realize that it's going to take a lot longer than he had planned. And now suddenly he's up for re-election again in October, and already, these problems have really not been solved.
You mentioned before we started taping that if this was Venezuela, you wouldn't be surprised. So South America does have some issues. I mean, Venezuela has obvious major issues going on right now with the economy and everything. But does this point to a larger problem throughout the continent or the area?
Yes, I mean, Latin America has high electrification rates, meaning, access to electricity overall is high, but blackouts are frequent. So the reliability of electricity is not good in a lot of countries. So, we've seen this type of blackout in other countries, especially because countries that rely a lot on large hydroelectric dams, when there's a drought, like Brazil, it happened years ago. And it has a huge economic impact, big economic losses, and it hurts politically as well.
Can it be a wake-up call? Can it be a good thing in a sense?
Well, I think if they take action, but it's complicated. It costs money to invest in the grid. It takes time. You need to attract private resources from companies. So I'm sure that they'll want to do more, but whether they can resolve all these problems in the rest of this president's term, I don't know.
The Energy Secretary said from 0 to 10, there is zero chance that this will repeat itself. It can't repeat itself. One doesn't want to tempt fate, but do you think he's right?
I think that they could probably prevent this from happening again. It was a technical flaw that was, really unusual and probably won't happen again. I don't think this is like Venezuela, where I would expect to see more and more blackouts, because the scale of the problems in Venezuela are much more serious. I think they probably won't see it again on this scale, but we may see some smaller blackouts again.